Hello, TM24 here, and we are back with some more Marvel Snap content. Now, you all have seen regular control. You've seen probably too much of high evolutionary, lockdown, lock, whatever you want to call it, but let me introduce you to Thanos lock. You've got a similar base. We've got Sunspot, Nebula, Daredevil, but this is going to be built around Thanos and one of our new cards in Legion. So we've got some really cool ways to play this. The stones are definitely going to help us in securing a location, but if you've seen any of my videos, you know how this is going to go. I'm going to show you some gameplay. We'll talk about this list a little bit and how you win, and then I'll give you some potential inclusions. But for now, let me show you Thanos lock. All right, let's hop right into these games, and let me just start off by saying I had a plethora of options to choose. I was planning on just recording maybe an hour's worth of games and finding the right ones to really showcase what this deck can do, but I went ahead and ran off 5, 6, 7 games right off the rip, easy wins, and this deck has just been flying for me. So it was super easy picking the games, and I had 3 in a row that actually worked perfectly. You'll see here that we end up beating our opponents, locking them out 3 different ways, and this one is probably the most frustrating of the 3. But as you can see here, Elysium is going to help us out a lot. Our deck is extremely cheap. They've only played 1 card while we are already way out onto the board with 2 stones, Jep and Sunspot, and we've got Storm ready to go. We've got more stones. We can really kind of do whatever we want here. And of course, we're going to get Stone down. We're going to get our stones down. We've got armor, and we even have Legion ready for turn 4, locking the game out way earlier than our opponent would expect. And we're going to be drawing cards, so that is what I really like about this deck. Those stones drawing you cards, and in this case, sending them through the Quantum Tunnel, making sure we get the benefit where they do not. Storm coming through, and it's going to get rid of a location that we didn't want to have to deal with. Reality Stone making it more difficult on our opponent, especially with that location now being Morag, which we've already got a ton of power. We pick up a stone, we pick up Nebula, we are in great shape. Now Rhino does come through and change that location, and they do send a Luke Cage, so a very nice follow-up. But as you can see, it's turn 4 here, and Elysium has allowed us to completely lock the game out and get Nebula down and get the Space Stone down, and we've still got Jeff who can move around. So we're about to lock this game up on turn 4. Is it turn 4 or turn 5? I think it's turn, maybe it's turn 5. Either way, this game is over. We're getting out of here. Our opponent only played 1 card into that flooding zone, and it's an Iron Man, and it's not even enough to take that location. We're going to win all 3. We do have the option to slide Jeff. We don't need to. Sunspot's going to grow, but as you can see, our opponent doesn't even run it out. We get the nice, easy victory there. So first one down, we locked out with Legion. Now, our other 2 locking options are going to be Professor X and Spider-Man. So obviously, we're going to look to pull those off. We're going to start here early with the Reality Stone. Now, playing these stones is a little bit tricky because some of them you definitely want to utilize. The Time Stone, for instance, giving you that 1 extra energy on the following turn can be huge. Playing the Time Stone on 3 and then hitting your opponent with a Professor X that they don't see coming can be huge. So I really like that line of play. Additionally, Reality Stone can get you out of some tricky situations, can end Magik's location early. So you've got the Reality Stone to do that. Ideally, you can play something like the Mind Stone down early. Space Stone is okay, but ultimately not that great. And most of the time, the Power Stone is simply going to be 3 power, so ultimately not that great overall. Now here they come through with a storm of their own onto the rickety bridge. We've already got a Reality Stone there, so we've only got 1 power short. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to toss Daredevil, we're going to toss the Power Stone, and we're going to get the Mind Stone out there just to continue to draw through our deck and really look for those pieces that we need to win this game. So Daredevil and the Power Stone come down, Mind Stone comes through, but they do juggernaut that flooding location. So a little bit difficult, but the Quantum Realm really makes our life a little bit easier here. Anything they play there is only going to be at 2 power. meaning they would have to play a lot of cards to try and catch up to Nebula, or they would have to take our Nebula out. Whereas we're already up 5 in Limbo, and we have Professor X in our hand. So that is the location that we are going to look to Professor X, as long as they don't play anything too scary. And as you can see there, it's just a Spider-Man. We snap that Professor X. We're going to be up to 8. They're going to be at 4, and we're going to be going into the next turn. Now, here it's a little bit weird because it's turn 6, and we don't want to play our Devil Dino early, but we are going to end up being ahead. So the Dino is going to be at risk regardless. We could play Jeff into the flooding just because, and making him think maybe we've got a blue Marvel, or maybe we've got some other way to buff up our cards, making him consider what else that we could do here and how he is going to go about beating us. So we get Jeff down, Captain Marvel comes out. Again, it's only 2 power now, so really, really tough for them. But we do have Devil Dino ready to go. And the nice thing is it's an ongoing ability, so not affected by the Quantum Realm. Yes, it's going to go down by 1 power, but ultimately nothing compared to what they have already lost. And as you can see, we've locked them out with Professor X, making it very difficult for them to come back, and we get another retreat. Like I said, this deck is just forcing your opponent to retreat by putting out too much power there early. Now with Sakaar coming down, we played Nebula just in case Professor X were to come out. We would win that location as long as it was nothing too crazy. Now they've got a really cool Mystique there, so we gotta let them know, hey, we like that. But we're gonna send our Reality Stone out. We're gonna hold the Power Stone for now. Ultimately, you know, I think I probably could have played it. I think I'm a little bit too cautious when playing those. Chances are we are not going to get all that much power. You know, we're not going to get Thanos out and powered up. We don't have the stones in our hand, so I should just be a little more freely playing those stones, but I also don't want to take up too much board space. In this situation, because we are up 6 in Sakaar already, we're just going to go ahead and slam Storm there. Armor is there to protect, so we know our Nebula is probably safe. We're up 10, and we haven't even done anything here. Now, they do pull our Spider-Man, and their side of the board is looking really cool with all the inks, but cool is not going to get them the win. We are going to get Jeff down, and we've already got the plan in place. We've got Spider-Man, and with Strange Academy out there, moving all after turn 5, move all cards here to other locations. So that means we can play Spider-Man there, lock them out of that location for turn 6. Our Spider-Man will be tossed into the Wakandan Embassy, and whatever they have will be tossed into the flooded zone, where we are already up 17. So we have won this game unless they can pull something crazy off. Spider-Man is going to come down and then slide over into the embassy, and we're just waiting to see what our opponent does. But I think you guys can see what's going on here. They're going to be locked out with no way of coming back, and we've got more than enough power in our hand and on the board to win this game. So now it's just a matter of our opponent seeing what we see, and we're fine to just let them figure that out on their own. But as I said, we've got Professor X, and it was buffed up. We've got, you know, 1 stone that we can play next to it. We can even move Jeff on over just to make sure we secure that Strange Academy in case they do play something like a Dr. Doom or something like that that could mess us up. But because we're going to be ahead in flooded by so much, and because they don't have all that much power in the embassy compared to what we have, so for instance, we're at 8, they're at 15, we're at 19, they're at 6. You know, we have that advantage there. So we are going to end up going first. We can feel free to just toss our Devil Dino down next to a Space Stone, and our opponent's going to retreat for another easy win. Alright, so you've seen some gameplay. Now let's talk about this list. Now it's just going to operate very similar to that high evolutionary lock, but we've got some different tools here. So of course, we've got 1-drops in Sunspot and Nebula, probably the 2 best 1-drops in the game. Now we definitely need to follow those up with some more early game. Now whether that's Armor, Daredevil, so we can see what's going down on 5, he is huge for that, or one of my personal favorite cards in Jeff, we have options, and that's not even including all of the stones that Thanos provides us. So we can really get out onto the board early and establish, you know, some tempo, be leading in multiple locations, making it really tough for our opponent to come back. Next up, we've got a couple of cards that'll help us control locations, whether that's Magik or Storm. We've got both. Now, Storm is great because we have access to the Legion combo. Storm on 4 along with, probably one of the stones. Legion on 5, completely lock them out before 6. So really like that combo. But that is not our only way to lock our opponent out. Of course, we've got Professor X and Spider-Man that can do some real damage. And with Daredevil telling us what's going down on turn 5, at least from our opponent's point of view, we can plan accordingly. Now, in case we need a big power dump on 6, we do have Devil Dino and Thanos himself. If you got all the stones down, great. If not, 10 power is not too bad, especially when you consider we'll have power elsewhere, and, the stones will be contributing as well. So that's kind of the list. Obviously, we're trying to lock our opponent out, and then we have 2 big power sources from Thanos, Devil Dino. Even Legion is not too bad at 8 power. So I've got a graphic here. I'm going to throw it up for you. And it's essentially what we talked about, our win conditions. We need to get one location locked down on 5. And whether that's Spider-Man, Professor X, or completely locking down the board with Legion, one of those 3 probably needs to come down if we want to have a realistic shot. Then on 6, it just matters how the board has played out. Does Devil Dino get us there? Do we need to move Jeff to get us there? What do we need to do to secure that other location? We do have big power in the forms of Dino, Thanos, maybe even Legion. Chances are we can win that location. Now, I will say with this list, a lot of the time, your opponent is just going to retreat. You'll be locking them out on 5 through one of 3 ways, so just get ready for a bunch of retreats. Maybe think about snapping on that turn 5 play. But there are a couple other cards that we could look to slot in here if we want to play it a little bit differently. Now, the card that I would be looking at potentially taking out would probably be Magik. I like the idea of locking our opponents out. So Storm, Professor X, Spider-Man, Legion probably should all stay. We need big power sources, so Devil Dino, he's got to stay. Obviously, it's built around Thanos and the stones, so Thanos is staying. The other ones that I could potentially see going are Daredevil, maybe Armor, but I like Armor just as protection for some of our 1-drops. So maybe Daredevil goes, maybe Magik goes, but a couple of these other options are right here on the screen now. And that's going to be 1, Blue Marvel. He seems like a fairly easy include here. Now, if you're going to run with Blue Marvel, I would definitely say you probably want to keep Magik just to have that extra turn to really get the most out of him by getting as many cards down as possible. Of course, he's buffing everything up, so if you can get Blue Marvel down, great. Next up is Valkyrie. Valkyrie is one of my other favorite cards. If I had to pick my top 3, Valkyrie would be up there, Jeff would be up there, and then, of course, my beautiful Wasp right here would be up there as well. But with all those stones, being able to change them to 3 power and potentially hurt our opponent's side of the board, reducing their cards to 3, Valkyrie would be a great inclusion. Additionally, Carnage seems like a very, very solid include here as well. We don't want to fill up our board too much, so if anything comes down, whether it's rocks from a debris or just a location, or we have too many stones down and we need to clear some way and get some power, Carnage is a good option. And then finally, Shang-Chi goes in just about any deck, but I could really see him fitting well into this list in place of Magik, just straight up being able to play Shang-Chi plus a stone, plus 2 stones, or Shang-Chi plus an armor or a Jeff on turn 6 to secure a location is a great way to win. But I'd love to know what you guys think about this Thanos lock. As you saw in all the games, we're making our opponents retreat, so it feels really, really strong. But let me know what you guys think, and if you've hung around till now, I really do appreciate you watching the whole video. Now would be a great time to subscribe and like, and be on the lookout for the next one. And until then, have some fun.